5 steps to building a personal brand. Branding is all around us, but when it becomes a personal brand, it's like, yo, this is me, this is what I'm doing. How do I put myself into a brand? How do I make myself a logo and a set of colors and all of this stuff? And the trick is that you don't. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second, but first I want to tell you a quick story. So when I was at the height of my video production career and we were running our agency, we were doing absolutely amazingly in the city of London. We had about 3 to 4 shoots a week and we were making around 10 to 20K per week in sales. And we were actually working in the restaurant business at the time, so filming restaurants and showcasing their food and showcasing what they had to offer. And one day we had a new job come in for a new client, a really, really swanky restaurant in the city of London. And they wanted us to come and see the location for a shoot that was coming up. And that Friday, I remember, I was not really that interested in going down and felt like, I can just send my second in command to go look after this client. So in a way, my standards were dropping a little bit. My second in command, I went to recce the space to meet the client. And the next morning, the client actually called me and said, "Luke, we can't work with you." And at that point, I was like, what on earth? What happened? Like, why? And they said that the person that I had sent, who was my producer at the time, went to the restaurant at peak time on a Friday night and he got into a fight with the manager because the manager didn't want to let him in because he wasn't wearing the right clothes. And so my producer had this massive explosion of anger and basically ended up having a fight with the manager. And so as you can imagine, my heart absolutely sunk because this job would have been worth at least 100K pounds. And at that point, I was like, oh my goodness, like you've literally completely screwed this up. What I started to notice in the coming weeks and the coming months is that the briefs and the jobs and the referrals that were coming through started to slow down. And the clients who absolutely loved us and the clients who kept referring us on stopped sending that many people our way. And we started to slow down a little bit. And I was like, okay, what on earth is going on here? And what I realized in that moment was that my brand is not my colors, my brand is not my logo, but my brand is my reputation. And that as soon as your reputation starts to take a hit and you do something so negative like that, it can actually end up in reverse and negative referrals. And so branding is this thing that you can't actually comprehend or measure. It's just this thing that people use to perceive you. And so my reputation was really on this pedestal and it was doing amazingly, but one slip up in my caring on whether I should show up and be the guy facing the client or not, and sending someone who maybe wasn't in the right position to go and do that job, ended up in me taking a massive hit to my reputation. And so what I want you to get out of this is to understand and start seeing things a little bit differently, that when you are creating your brand, you don't need to go out and spend money on a logo or spend money on a brand identity. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is get clear on what you stand for as a person, and that is going to form the basis of an integrous personal brand. Now, since that time, I've done a lot of work on rebuilding my brand, rebuilding my reputation. So it's important to know that it's never too far down the line to turn your brand around, turn your reputation around. One of the best examples of a recovery from terrible reputation damage is the country Japan. So if you remember back in World War II, Japan were at the height, they were supporting the fight against the Allies. And that when America went and dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the country was decimated. Now, from the time of World War II to now, has completely rebuilt its reputation. And now when you think of Japan, you think of great food, you think of hospitable people, you think of quality products, you think about great design, you think about beautiful nature. You don't think about all of those things you used to think about back in World War II. And a good movie to watch on that is the new Oppenheimer film. And you'll get an understanding of what Japan's reputation used to be. And their reputation is completely changed now. So that's a great signal and a great sign that your reputation can always be rebuilt. Now, this is a unique framework that we've developed on how you can build a personal brand from scratch, or you can use this method to recover your personal brand. If you've done something like I did in the past where you screwed up with a client or something went wrong and people might perceive you with a negative connotation, this is the way you can rebuild your brand. So it is based on integrity, and you can start getting to that place where you're welcoming referrals in and people are saying good things about you. And your personal brand is then the foundation of a beautiful life, a beautiful business, because with a great personal brand comes a lot of great opportunities. All right, so let's dive right into it. So our framework is called the CLEAR brand. CLEAR stands for competency, love, essence, authenticity, and research. Now, this is the basis, and this is a formula for you to build a personal brand based on integrity, so you can start increasing and bettering your reputation as a personal brand. Let's break through these one by one. So take notes, do whatever you have to do, pause the video, write these things out as you go. But I'm going to give you prompts so you can understand how you can take your brand from where it is now to having a clear brand. And a clear brand is something that people can look at and go, I get it, I know what that person's about. And that's what we want to get to at the end of this. So C stands for competency. Now, it's vitally important that you build a personal brand that is based on something that you actually have results in, something that you are actually an expert in. So a question I want to ask you is, what do you have results in? What area in your life have you won awards in? What have you spent a lot of time doing that is more than an average person? What is your superpower? What are things you do naturally that everyone else thinks is hard? What problem have you overcome? Now ask yourself these questions and you'll start to get a good idea of what your area of competency is. And then you can move on to the next step. Step number 2, love. All right, so when I talk about love, we want to build a personal brand around something we love, around something we are passionate in. And this is going to ensure that you can avoid falling into horrible traps of burnout, deep moments of despair, because the love for what you do is going to carry you through. So ask yourself these questions. What gives you joy? What truly fills you up? What breaks your heart? What makes you sad? What pisses you off? What makes you angry? What do you love that other people might think is weird or unnatural? And what could you spend the rest of your life talking about? So once you understand these things, it's going to give you a really good indication about what you love doing, what you love talking about, and what your life's mission is going to be. Step number 3 is essence. So this is a really cool one, to develop and understand what your unique essence is as a human being. And the way I like to do this is to identify and think about, what do people naturally come to you for advice for? And then once you've done that, you can move on to step 4. Step 4 is authenticity. Now, a lot of people talk about authenticity. It's a bit of a buzzword right now, but my indication and my way of understanding if I'm being authentic or not is knowing if I am acting in accordance to my highest values. But before you understand that, you need to know what your values are as a human being, because then you can build your personal brand based on something that is in accordance with your highest values. A great way that you can identify your values by checking out this video I recorded on content strategy. Okay, and the final step in the clear brand method is research. So what do you research? Now for me, I research a lot about marketing, sales. I find that incredibly invigorating. I love reading about business. Now I've also gone to university to study communication, graphic design. Some of these things are the things that I have researched professionally. So ask yourself these questions. What have you studied academically? What topics do you naturally read about the most? And what are you truly an expert in? What do you listen to? What podcasts do you listen to? What audiobooks do you listen to? Okay, so now that we've done that, we've done the clear brand method, we understand these questions. Now, at the intersection of this clear brand method, of all of these answers that you've gone out and answered, you can start to get to the core of what your brand's essence is going to be. And so we call this your uniqueness. What is your one word that sums up everything that your brand is going to be about? And this is something that Rory Vaden talks about a lot, is how do you break through Sheehan's wall? And Sheehan's wall is this idea of moving from an unknown entity to a known entity. And you need to have hyper intentional focused effort to break through that wall. And in order to break through that wall, you need to be known for one thing. And your one thing is at the intersection and the middle of these questions that we've just asked you to go through during the clear brand method. So have a look, have a think about that, and start to dissect and see what the through line is, so you can start to come up and identify what your one word solution is, your one word uniqueness. And my one word uniqueness is clarity. And that is how I came to my point of clarity, was identifying what my competency was, what I love doing, what my essence was naturally, what my authenticity is, what do I research naturally, what do I like doing. Now, the personal brands that are going to stand head and shoulders above any other brands in the future are the ones that are based around the people they are helping. And so identifying the clear brand strategy, identifying these things that are going to help bring awareness to you, we now need to turn that focus from us to our core target audience. And a way you can do that is by knowing that you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person that you once were. And so by understanding your competency, your love, your essence, your authenticity, your research, you can now take that as the foundation and create a solution that helps your core target audience, who might be the person that you once were. Now, if you want help on how to get to the core of that unique problem, how you can position yourself and get crystal clear on what your one word is, then book in a brand strategy call with me using the link below. This is a 30-minute call where we will go through all of your personal brand. We will assess how you are best positioned to show up online, and you will come away from the call with more clarity on how you can start showing up in the world. All right, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share it with anyone who you think would benefit from this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.